Hello. In this video, we're going to take a quick look at how we create a customer in our Dream Genie website. So what you'll need to do is log in the usual way. For me, that's down here. And you'll be presented with the back office options. What we're looking to do is find Workspace, which is this icon here on the top row. So click that. That opens up the Workspace window. You'll see your website name and Workspace. Navigate down the left menu and you'll see Organizations. So choose Organizations, click on that, and you'll be presented with the list of organizations that are currently in your system. You can now, you probably want to search to see if this organization already exists. So at the top, type in either the name or the postcode or some other pretty unique information about the organization to see, to search for. So let's search for, if we create a record called, say, Brian Smith, Brian, let's search for that, and it's not found. So he's not already there. So let's go ahead and add him. Click Create a New Entry. That opens up a new form here. We don't need all this information. There is a lot more than this, but we don't need for creation purposes. We can just put in the minimum information, which is the organization name. Let's call this Brian Smith, and he's going to be our customer. So crucially, we need to set this checkbox to identify this organization as being a customer of ours. We'll put in an address, say 1 Drive, Henbury. Just give him a postcode TQ12. Okay, that'll do. And then just save it. And he appears in our list of organizations now. As I said, there is a lot more information. Let's close this. So we've actually added him, but we've done nothing other than just create a new record for him. So let's go back to our Workspace screen here, and we can now search for Brian if we wanted to. Up here, at the top right, we'll search for Brian. You could enter his postcode or any other information on him. But let's just search for Brian, and let's just see if we can find him. I'll just do that again, actually, now I've zoomed out. So I'll hit go, and it opens up this window which lists all the potential matches it's found, and there's only one, and it's an organization record, and the quick summary tells us it's Brian Smith with his postcode. So click on that link, and this opens up the full organization record for Brian Smith. I'll just expand that fully. Across the top are a number of tabs, and they're labeled with what they contain. So in this tab, this screen, is all the general information. We can see there's his name, the date we created it, his image, the documents folder, where we can store documents, the address, other contact methods which we haven't created any yet, inactivity nudges, and so on. We've got contacts. So here we can add in contacts at that organization, but we've called it Brian Smith, so we don't need to create any. We're keeping it simple. But you could, if you had other contacts at that organization, just click Manage Contacts and create other ones. So Sally Smith, his wife, or his secretary, or whatever. You can create as many as you like and even give them roles. But for our purposes, we don't need them. Internal contacts, that's at your end. So it's who within your organization is associated with this organization. So it may be you yourself, or one of your partners, or one of your employees who deals with the organization Brian Smith, and you would set that here. We've got notes, so we can just create ad hoc notes against Brian Smith. So spoke to Brian, create one. Spoke to Brian and agreed price of £45, for example. Save that. So you can see, keep some kind of history of your interaction with him. Documents, galleries, costs, actions. Crucially, what we want to look at quickly is schedules. We want Brian Smith to be treated as a customer, and the job we do with him is to clean his chimney, let's say. So come in here, create a new entry, click create a new entry. The title will say clean living room fire. We'll put in the description how much it's going to cost, £45. Start date or next run date. So we want it to be starting on November the 30th. And we want it to occur, that's these two boxes here. If you look at the second box here, the date part, the period, we've got a number of options. We're going to choose once a year, so we'll have a year. And in the first box, we'll put every 1 year. So if we wanted twice a year, we'd put every 6 months. If we put 2 years, that would be every 2 years. If we wanted it every week, we'd say every 1 week. So leave it at year, every year. And we could say not after. You can specify a date when you want this to stop, because it will just roll on every year in our case. We don't need to enter most of these. The maximum runs you do, put say 100 in there, because every time this fires, it will increment a counter inside the system, and it will stop when it reaches this number. So in 100 years' time, this will stop working. So that's fine. 100 will do. We can configure a reminder. So scroll down, click on reminder 1, check the send box, choose the reminder time. I'm going to choose a week. So what this means is that 1 week before the date that we've set, the next due date, it's going to send an email. So we need to configure the email. So it'll be an email from Park Data. That's my address. So from myself to myself. Subject, clean Brian Smith's chimney. I'll copy that and put that in the body as well here. Let's put his address in, or where it is. It's the living room fire. £45, and his postcode, his address. So we've got that in an email coming to us 1 week before it's due. So we just save that. So scroll back to the top and click save. That's it. So what will happen is, every year now, for the next 100 years, on this date, and it will take care of itself. You don't need to do anything further now. So when we reach this date, this will get moved automatically to the 30th of November 2017. But a week before that date, it will send us an email reminding us that we need to do that. There are other screens in Workspace that enable us to group all of that work, or the upcoming work, together, filter it by postcode or address, so we can do our work in an economic way and say do everybody in a particular postcode and so on. But that's in another video. So that's it really. So what we've seen is how we can quickly create a new customer. So we'd clicked organizations. We had searched for one up at the top here, or over here equally. You can do the search. Does Brian exist? In our case, it's found him, so we don't need to add him, but in our case, it wasn't there, so we'd gone ahead and created a new entry and saved it. And then what we found is that We can then fill in all the other information by searching for him. Equally, we could have done it from here. Let's do it from here this time. We'll search for Brian. In fact, we can see Brian there, so we can just click on the link, open up the organization record for Brian Smith, and fill in any other information. What we did was to create the schedule, which was create new entry and fill in the boxes, the dates, the maximum runs, and a reminder. Okay, thanks for watching.